The man was horrified to discover he'd been forgotten on Mars for 108 days. To get home, he first needed to communicate with Earth. Mark placed his only hope on the long-forgotten Pathfinder probe. It was a rover launched in 1997, now buried deep under the sand. When Mark finally dug it out and restarted it after tremendous effort, an old, dusty signal suddenly flickered on ancient equipment at Earth's Space Center. The staff thought it was a malfunction, but curious, they rotated the probe's camera to see what was happening. Due to the massive delay between Earth and Mars, they waited a full 30 minutes. Meanwhile, clever Mark knew Earth was watching him. He had already prepared messages on a writing board. When the image reading, "I'm alive," was transmitted back, the entire control room fell silent, then erupted in unbelievable shouts. Mark, who had been out of contact for over 100 days, had truly created a miracle. Through this antique machine, both sides began historic communication using the most primitive hexadecimal code. But after the brief excitement, a cruel reality confronted Mark. The next Mars mission was 4 years away, and until then, Earth could do nothing for him. Back on Earth, NASA immediately developed a supply plan to send resources to Mark by rocket, but building the rocket alone would take a year. Fortunately, Mark's Martian farm was hugely successful, temporarily solving his food problem. However, disaster always strikes unexpectedly. An airlock suddenly depressurized, causing a violent explosion that left Mark seriously injured. More devastatingly, all the potatoes he had painstakingly grown were exposed to Mars' vacuum and completely froze. Just like that, his only food source was destroyed. When Earth received this terrible news, they panicked. To save time, they decided to risk launching an incompletely tested supply rocket. The world's hope turned into a massive fireball just seconds after liftoff. The supply mission failed, and if they rebuilt another rocket, Mark would starve long before it arrived. That's when the project manager secretly contacted the returning astronauts and told them Mark was still alive. Learning the truth, the captain resolutely decided to disobey orders and turn back to save him. Even if this return would consume all resources and potentially kill the entire crew, they were determined to bring their brother home. But a new problem emerged. Calculations showed the spacecraft didn't have enough fuel to enter Mars' orbit and land. This meant they could only wait in space while Mark had to find his own way up. To launch the ground vehicle out of the atmosphere, Mark needed to reduce its weight by 5 tons. He had no choice but to remove the spacecraft's windows, doors, and even control panels. He would pilot a space convertible, heading toward the universe without any protection. The massive air resistance could tear him apart at any moment, but this was his only way home. Mark sat in this crudest spacecraft in history, ignited the engines and headed toward that impossible space rendezvous.